Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for watching the replay on the YouTube. We're live on Twitch, about to jump into Discord. We're going to be having a AMA with Sarah Cole from the Stoner Cats. So today is Friday, January 28th, 2022, and I'm excited to welcome you to the show. Let's kick it off. Bum ba da ra di di dum da. Unknown voice state. What? Cannot start event that is out. Got it. Okay, thank you. Somebody else started it. And we're here. Ta-da! Welcome, everyone. Hello. Thank you for being here. How are you, CJ? CJ is muted and well, I'm sure. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to be talking to Sarah Cole from the Stoner Cats team. Very excited to sort of get the inside scoop, hear about production, inspiration, animation, and all the rest. So thanks for being here. We will do a POAP for all those in attendance. Housekeeping on the POAP, as if you've done this before, it's the same process. If not, there's a channel at the top of the server called Request POAP. I'll currently unhide it for everyone. And this is the channel where when the time comes, it's not available to you yet, but I'll make it viewable for you. It's at the top of the server. And when the time comes, you can go to the Request POAP channel, drop your full alphanumerical address, and you can come back next week to claim your POAP. Hey, Sarah, thanks for being here.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm doing very well. I think Cohen might be, oh, and there it is. He's disposed. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Just as like a preface and a rundown, you know, this is the VeeDao. We are a group of art collectors, like very much interested in using our collective power to get into asset classes that individually we wouldn't be able to. And these AMAs are sort of a way for us to get to know creators in the space, introduce our community to other projects and people who are building. So I'm very glad you're here. And I'd love to sort of hear a little bit of your origin story that brought you to Stoner Cats and then get into the dirt of what that has been like. So would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. And I love what you guys are doing. And that's such a cool thing that I'm seeing in the space is all these collabs of all these crossovers from different NFT communities, which is really cool because it feels less like there's only enough room for one NFT. It feels very uplifting, you know, rising tides lift all boats kind of thing. So this is really cool. So I love what you guys are doing, first of all. But as far as my origin story, if you will, I started off early, if we're going like really origin story.
Yeah, take us there.
Sorry?
I said, yeah, take us there.
Okay. Yeah, so I started off computer science in college, and
Nice.
Turns out I am terrible at coding, but I love computers, super nerd, growing up playing, you know, Team Fortress LAN games with my dad and my brother in the house. And so I was like, I'm going to make video games. And again, I was like, I'm terrible at coding. But I was always editing on the side just for fun and making stupid videos with my friends in college. And my roommate was like, why don't you do that for a living? And I was like, I didn't really think about it because it was just fun. So I went to a state school and there was no kind of film program really. So I tried to start a film program at the college and my advisor was like, that's cute, but it's never going to be ready for you by the time you graduate.
Wow.
So I ended up transferring, ironically, in 2007 to another school that had a media studies program, which is kind of weirdly everything I've done in my life has kind of led me to this NFT space where at the time media studies meant streaming and, you know, the beginning of Netflix and YouTube and things like that. And that's kind of what people thought media studies meant. And now here we are in a whole new avenue of ways of media. So I went on and I did an internship at a commercial house. They opened a place in LA and they're like, you want to go? I was like, yes, please. So I went there and worked on commercials for a bit, and then they did an animated feature called Freebirds. And I was like, this is the perfect fusion of my nerd brain and my creative brain, as animation is all computer based. So I was like, I would love to get into that. So I started to jump over to that, and that kind of jumped off my animation editing career. So through a series of, hopping around various studios, and obviously ended up at Sony, where I worked on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was an insane project, but really cool. And being around creatives like Phil Lord and Chris Miller was just incredible to watch. And so obviously I started kind of writing and kind of creating on the side just for myself, just as an outlet. And then I connected with my other two co-creators later on, Ash Brannon, who was a co-director of Toy Story 2, as well as Chris Cartagena, who was an editor on several things, including Happy Feet. And we worked together on the Freebirds movie. And then as kind of a joke, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the original Disney movies, where they're all the like Easter eggs that are very adult Easter eggs.
Yes.
But there's kind of this thing in kids animation, when adults are making kids animation, you start to kind of go nuts, and you're just like, this is too kiddie. I need to like make dirty jokes. So it kind of like manifests in a way. So on the side, we were joking about what would happen if cats got super stoned, and like, what does that look like? And it became just a running joke where every time we met up, we would, bring a new element to the story. And it was just a joke and a fun thing to create. And then after I finished Spider-Verse, I was like, why don't we just do Stoner Cats, right? And then Ash was like, we absolutely should. And I was like, it's high time. So we started pitching it around while still having day jobs. And we hit this bump of the studios were either scared of weed content still, even though it's, at the time, right, 2019, they're afraid of weed content. They already have talking animal shows. And so they were just like, oh, we don't want to take the risk. And I'm sure you all know that the studios are kind of in the world of reboots and sequels and things like that, of known franchises that are a surefire moneymaker.
Right.
It's easier for them to kind of bet on those things that they know than take a chance on talking cats and weed. So it kind of makes sense, but we were like, this is ridiculous. This isn't going to work. So we pitched to Mila and Lisa and Cammie of Orchard Farm, and they immediately got it. They were like, this is great. And so even with their push behind it, the studios still were resistant. So it wasn't till April of last year that Mila had the idea to do this as an NFT. And then we immediately just like kicked it into full gear and made the whole first episode on our own, because between Ash, Chris, and I, we kind of have all the components to make a show from a talent standpoint. So we made the first episode all while working our other day jobs, and we had no idea that it was going to blow up as well as it did, despite everyone being like, of course it's going to blow up. We're like, I don't know. What is this NFT stuff? We were just so green. Yeah. And simultaneously learning about how to create iterative assets. We had to come up with all the different cats of the NFTs and their different assets, and wanting to tie that into the show so that when you get a Stoner Cat NFT and you get a character, you're getting a little bit of insight into who that character is. So when you watch the show, they sort of inform each other of being like, oh, right, Dave has a cock puncher graphic novel because it's his favorite movie and favorite thing. And that's a whole other side thing. But we created this fake TV show within it that's called Cock Puncher. And it's just like a Australian vigilante who apprehends criminals by punching them in the cock. I should have prefaced this is a very mature audience thing.
Yeah, I think that's coming across.
But I think people probably knew coming in, Stoner Cats was, it's an adult animated series. So hopefully that was enough of a banner. But yeah, so then we kind of learned by doing of how to get into NFTs and what this looks like. And and here we are. And now we're trying to go, oh, we now have to make 5 more episodes at a breakneck pace. So we hired an animation studio. But normally with TV, even, or any animated show, you have enough shows created in the bank before you release. And so you can start to roll them out at a faster pace. So that's really where we're kind of in this weird bump of people saying, when next episode? And we're like,
right.
We're trying. We're also still the ones doing it on top of the animation studio. But yeah, so that's a really long-winded chronicles of Sarah and Stoner Cats.
Long-winded and fantastic. And I want to dive into a couple aspects there. Actually, going back to one of the early things you said, I'd love to explore a little deeper this notion of like, oh, we can do this through NFTs and like how that develops. But before that, can you sort of go deeper on what you meant with like everything you've done in media studies led you to this NFT moment? You know, as I hear it coming from you, like I think about the fact that this technology is very new, but it's really iterating on communication techniques, you know, mediums that we've known for years and years and years. And I wonder what that means, what you meant by that. And like, I guess maybe to ask a specific question, like what qualities of NFT media do you see the same as stuff that you were already doing with animation and production, and what things are different within the NFT media space?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So as far as me personally, it feels like, you know, like I said, animation being a very tech-oriented entertainment field, for me personally, ticks that box of, yeah, I can't code, but I can edit. And when I make a mistake, there's a visual correspondence of, oh, you broke something there visually. And so that sort of, for me, is why the tech of it works, and having a fascination with tech. And, you know, I'm an early adopter of crypto. So I was already kind of into the crypto space. So kind of in this tech fusion, when this started to come up and feel like an avenue that would give ownership and creativity back to artists and creators, where if we were doing this at a studio, obviously we would have so many executives and studios giving notes and shaping the show, whereas we have full creativity. Obviously we have Mila and Lisa, who are our producers, and giving notes, but they are very minimum and very specific and always smart. So it's a way for us to really create just carte blanche and just keep going. That was the first part of the question, is why that's led it to here. Yes. Kind of also, I guess, the difference of what that would be is the freedom that NFTs allow you to do that. And additionally, the one big thing was in the feature, at least in features, I've not specifically worked in TV, but in feature films, when you're working on a movie, you get to a certain point and you do what is called an audience preview screening, where you put up what the movie is as it is, and it's not even fully finished. There's a series of process. So it's like visually the animation is really rough, but you put it up to see if the story is working, the script is working, and see what parts land for an audience. And then you go back and then you kind of wipe what doesn't work, and sometimes blow it up entirely and start over a brand new script, whole, ground zero. Whereas here we have our community in the Stoner Cats community, and through their feedback, kind of live feedback, it's like a constant audience preview screening where we're watching them watch the show and getting immediate feedback on what's landing for them, what they want more of, and writing that into the show as we go and as we build the rest of the season. So it's a really cool feedback loop where we get to shape what the audience wants, and then the audience gets to feel like they're connected directly to the show, which you don't really get in a traditional streaming platform. You just get shoved something on Netflix or Apple or whatever it is, and you're like, here's the content, and you can like it or not. And either it gets canceled because people don't like it, or it keeps going because people like it. Those are kind of your two options. But there's also been a lot of shows that got canceled because it didn't hit a ratings, but it had a super underground community that loved it. And so then it gets legs on a streaming platform.
Right.
And this is kind of, I think, fighting that model of you don't have to worry about your favorite show getting canceled. You can select what shows you want to watch and what you want to be a part of. So that, I think, is huge and groundbreaking for what's making Hollywood feel a little bit outdated.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stoner Cats is now, if not the first, one of the first of its kind to be doing this. I'm curious, when it was brought to your attention, I suppose being an early adopter, you had heard about NFTs. Like, what was it like for you personally to like get introduced to NFTs? Like, did it make sense immediately? Was it confusing? How did you process what an NFT is before, even going to the next step of this is an opportunity for our project?
Yeah, so I feel like the beginning of last year was a big boom for NFTs as far as onboarding people who weren't already deep into it. So it was becoming a little more apparent and more in the public view. So people were more aware of it, and myself included. And like you said, I have this kind of crypto background, so it kind of made sense from a like blockchain understanding of a tech of it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the utility and what that looked like, I was like, I don't quite understand how this is going to work. But the more I delved into it and the more that I could see that it's a kind of this ownership aspect of it. And then now seeing how many different ways people can use it has just absolutely blown my mind, frankly.
Yeah. And I,
well,
I know.
Seth MacFarlane,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, Seth MacFarlane and Milo, who are on Family Guy, had that same background where Family Guy, if I remember correctly, early on got canceled, and then because it's such a cult following, they brought it back.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And so hopefully this closes that loop of not worrying about your shows getting canceled, because you're like, I'm on from the beginning, and if there's enough interest, it lives. If it doesn't, it dies, and that's the game. But
right. And what's also so life-changing, or like groundbreaking rather, is like those people who supported Family Guy and got it to come back on network, had they done that through an NFT, they could have at some point actually benefited financially for their early support. Right. Like,
yeah,
like that's one of these things that just takes so much friction out of actually knowing who your supporters are and being able to give them flowers, whether that's airdrops or eventually royalties as the laws sort of settle on that piece. I wanted to ask, I know that there's also Big Head, that is sort of the umbrella over Stoner Cats and other projects. Do you, and I understand if like this is in development, you don't know or can't say, but do you anticipate that for various new concepts, you'll have like a new token offering to provide the startup capital to produce in a similar way that you did for Stoner Cats? Or what is like the long-term look like at this point for Big Head?
Yeah, so I don't want to overstep and speak on Big Head's behalf, but as far as what I understand, it is the original drop of Stoner Cats NFTs gives you access in perpetuity. So whatever is released through the Stoner Cats kind of platform, and we have Metawood Studios as our DAO. So whatever's released and chosen to release subsequently, your NFT gives you access to all future content. And through the Metawood DAO, obviously input on what that content is. So specifics as to additional drops and what that looks like, I think that's more in the purview of Big Head and the Metawood DAO. Outside of that, obviously we're planning on an additional drop relatively soon for our Hash Panda character, which is Gary V.
Right.
So we're planning on doing that relatively soon, and we've been working on that in the background on top of the show. And that's kind of where our specific contract of our NFT drop ends. And then beyond that is kind of TBD. And I know there's a lot of stuff in the works, and they're trying to strategize on what more we can do, because we want to keep our community engaged and make sure they feel that they have utility.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people in this room are excited for that Hash Panda drop. I wanted to go into the Metawood section. I don't know how integral you were in like sort of designing or maintaining that, but I'm sure you get daily feedback or weekly feedback from that group. I'd be curious, as a DAO creator myself, like there's so many ways to do this. I wonder if you could share us like a bit, how does that work, and how has it been for you to just have that sort of decentralized feedback?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have the general token holders who kind of give us that story feedback, but the MetaWood DAO has really been the token holders. I'm part of the Discord as a token holder myself, but as a creator, I don't really hold the sway, which is great. I think that's the purpose of a DAO, is that
Right.
I shouldn't, at that point, it shouldn't be a dictatorship. It's a democracy. That's the point. So I'm involved as far as like being a member of it, but it really just is the people deciding. And full transparency is the DAO is kind of, or a DAO period is a newer thing that I'm trying to grasp and understand. So being here with you guys and seeing what you guys are doing in your Discord and how MetaWood's doing and all these different DAOs are shaping is really fascinating to me. And again, another part of not just power back to the creators, but power back to the audience and the fans. Whether it's a show or it's art, whether people are into VeeFriends and it's the whole VeeFriends community, and it gives power back to that community specifically. So I think DAOs are fantastic, and I'm just such a noob as far as understanding it. So I'm working my way into it. Tangentially, back to a different question you had asked before, I had forgotten that when I was getting ready to leave Spider-Verse 2, I was on the sequel, and I quit to work on StonerCats. And everybody was like, okay, sure, this NFT thing. But additionally, there was Beeple, everybody knows Beeple, who is Mike Winkleman. Mike Winkleman was actually an artist on the original Spider-Verse for a hot second. So it was a really close to home thing where, everyone in Hollywood doesn't quite understand NFTs. And obviously my crew was like, we don't understand NFTs, but they understand that Mike Winkleman just made a crazy amount of money through NFTs. So it was not really like tangible as to what it meant and what it looked like and what it was going to be. And I tried as much to be like, you guys don't understand. This is the tip of the iceberg. Like, this is going to blow up. And I think having left that and seen in probably terms that make more sense to Hollywood.
I am just checking to see if my Shabak takeout order is
ready. I got it.
3:30.
Open mics. Open mic night.
It's open mic night. You were saying, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying is that it's a more tangible way for people to understand the Hollywood translation of NFTs and what that specific utility looks like. So I think Hollywood is aware, if not directly from working with people who are starting to understand in close relation, Hollywood is certainly taking notice of what this means. And I think that's interesting too, watching all these major brands and corporations getting into the game and whether or not they fully understand what it means to be decentralized.
I'd love to go there. I mean, I think there's a very important conversation going on around corporations, brands, influencers, basically like big money and big followings entering the space. I would say many of which, if not most of which, have good intentions, but obviously like the rugs and the bad intentions, they spread faster than the good. But before we go there, I'm curious, and recognizing it's early days for any project that launched in 2021, are you getting a lot of inbound now of people asking you what an NFT is, how to do you find that people are more so believing what you said and curious, or are they still watching from the sidelines for the most part?
I have a lot of people, a lot of friends. In fact, my therapist is like, how do I buy Ethereum? And I was like, we'll talk about it in our next session. So my next session, I think, is going to be NFT onboarding.
Wow.
So we have people that are like super far out of it who have, no context for it. And I think, I'm not sure if you're familiar with my BFF, which is kind of this female-led, non-binary collective that Mila and several other women are starting to onboard women and non-binary folks into the space. So things like that, I think, are going to help onboard a lot of people. But as far as other parts of the industry, it's tough. I think anyone who doesn't fundamentally believe or understand crypto is going to have a hard time with NFTs, obviously. So I think like step
Yeah.
one is if you're like crypto's bullshit, I'm not going to do that. I have real money. I have investments, Wall Street, blah, blah. Then, you know, you're already not fit for this space. Not that you can't change, but I think it would be harder for someone to kind of believe and understand NFTs if you fundamentally disagree with crypto. So,
Right.
but that said, I think generally the majority of the people who have witnessed this StonerCats happen and talking through how that experience was are very interested now and getting into the space who are
Yes.
otherwise muggles.
Just to go there for a minute, because I'm sure plenty of people in the audience are dealing with this question all the time of like, I don't get it. I don't want to get it. And you've been dealing with these questions for some years longer than any of us. So what would you say is like, I mean, do you spend time convincing people about crypto, or for the people that are curious, like what have you found to be more likely to unlock understanding of digital ownership, blockchain, crypto versus maybe other things that are not as effective?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that seems to land with people and also myself is a level of autonomy and independence.
Mhm.
You know, and not in a way that's like skirting taxes or skirting, you know, the banking system necessarily. Is more that I have a friend who's deeply into Bitcoin, and he's the one who got me into crypto back in 2016. And he has a lot of different avenues of things, but there's one project he does where there are there's this organization for women in Africa who are in abusive relationships or marriages and who don't have the autonomy over their funds.
Mhm.
And so they work with them to set up a crypto wallet, and so they can get paid or at least transferred their fiat into crypto and get this sense of autonomy so that they can leave an abusive situation.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff that people don't really think of. They think like, oh, crypto, black market kind of sketch stuff.
Mhm.
But really what it is this autonomy and independence that it can create for both, you know, gender gaps, wealth gaps, minority gaps. There's just all this stuff that it feels like it not.
Oh. Sorry, folks, got disconnected.
Or access for different ages. You have tons of younger artists getting involved that would not be allowed to just go make art and collect US dollar as, you know, they're a minor sort of thing. So there's a lot of autonomy for so many different groups that you wouldn't get, you know, if there was no crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, I've only been in, I mean, I bought a little crypto in 2017, but I've only really been into it for about a year, and I would say the same for me has been like the real unlock, like true ownership, and also recognizing the redistribution of wealth that is very unique to this period and
Absolutely.
it probably won't happen again in our lifetimes. Okay, well, let's have the influencer conversation, because I feel like almost every space around the like best practices of a project, a successful project, it always comes back to influencers, and there's a lot of difference of opinions. Obviously with StonerCats, like, and you included, like maybe Ashton and Mila, they have larger platforms or they're more recognizable to some people, but like you in your own right have like a resume to battle with the best. So what is your view more generally of influencers in the space right now? Like, what do you think? Or is it an either or, like you're good or bad, or are we just in like the growing pains of sort of not enough education around safety and like people getting taken advantage of? Like, what's your, I don't know, what's your hot take on influencers right now?
I'd say my hot take is that it's definitely growing pains. You know, we got and still get a lot of we're a cash grab.
Yes.
Because it's, you know, oh, celebrities now in the space, eye roll. And what people don't see, and maybe this is not enough education, we're very transparent, but maybe it's not enough education and combating other things that are a lot of rug pulls and things like that that break confidence, is that, it's a whole team, right? It's me, Ash, and Chris as creators, but then we have an animation studio, and we have, Big Head, and we have all these people who run the tech side of it, and it's a whole team of people. But because the face of it is celebrity and or you don't want to say influencer or big corporate is what it feels like, it kind of gets lost. So I don't actually know the answer to that, and that's something we've been trying to balance is, what does that look like? How do we let people know, or like, yeah, we can move Hollywood over without being Hollywood, quote unquote. So I don't actually know the answer to that specifically from our point of view, is we're still trying to figure it out, which is why I say growing pains and all these other things where there are cash grabs and there are rug pulls, and we're like, we're not them, and we're still here. I know we're taking a long time to work on episodes, but it's because we're very bare bones crew. And friends and family helping out wherever they can, and my mom doing a voice at a show. It's like filling in where anybody can just to help out to get it going is a different narrative than what it looks like on paper of like, wow, Seth MacFarlane, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Jane Fonda, Chris Rock, like the whole nine, and even Vitalik of it was kind of our nod to be like, we're real in the space. And Vitalik saw that we were real in the space, and obviously he loves cats, so that's a big part of it. But but it's hard to kind of bump that narrative, and I don't know how to do it. And you're always going to have FUD, like it's always going to be, but that's also kind of internet in a nutshell. That's not specific to the NFT space. So yeah, I think it's trying to figure out like do your own research of, is it big corp trying to get in and cash in, or is it big corp realizing this is the way of the future? There's so much more utility of creating shows and the metaverse and real estate and all this stuff that we don't even know yet. And I think it's going to shake out. Like, we're all here early, and I think it'll shake out. So I think it's just this really gray area of too much inundation of stuff to filter out what's genuine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess just to go here again, you've had a lot of experience on production schedules. Can you give people some context, like from inception to release? Like, what is the standard? I guess the point I want to make is whether you're doing an animated series or you're just doing a merch line or some kind, like any kind of production, like these projects take a lot of time to build, and Stoner Cats has been out for less than a year. But if this were a Hollywood animation studio production, what kind of timeline would you expect from inception, or maybe like from being funded to release?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Live action is different than animation, obviously, and TV is different than feature. Ash, Chris, and I all come from a feature world. And I think, I'm biased, but personally, I feel as though we're crafting these episodes from a feature storytelling sense. We're not just doing kind of the TV standard where it's just people walk into frame, people walk out of frame, and it's very, very quick. It's very easy animation. We're trying to have a really big story arc, the backstory for people who may not totally understand the storyline is, it's about Miss Stoner and her 5 cats, and Miss Stoner has Alzheimer's, and that is mocked after my own mother who has Alzheimer's. So I'm currently going through this process with my mom of Alzheimer's and what that looks like, and trying to inform the writing to reflect that experience, to have a real connection with people who may experience that same unfortunate disease, and try to give that the light of day within a 5 to 10 minute episode, which is really difficult to do, to flip from like, oh, here's an Alzheimer's moment, and now here's a fart joke. Like, how do you like strike that balance in such a short amount of time? So it's a very specific challenge that none of us have actually experienced before. Feels like we're really finding the mark from all of our history and working experiences and shows we've worked on. But from a feature standpoint, it can take anywhere from 3 to 9 years for an animated feature. If you're over at Pixar, they spend years writing and writing and rewriting and starting over from scratch. Spider-Verse, the original Spider-Verse I was on that for 3 years. And before I was hired as editorial, they were already doing story before that. So it's a multi-year process for animation from a feature standpoint. Obviously TV, like I said, like a Family Guy thing or a South Park thing. There's a South Park not expose, but kind of behind the scenes of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like 2 weeks to print or something like that, where it's kind of the time it takes and what they have to do in that time frame. So they kind of like pull the curtain back and see, but obviously that's a very different style. So it varies is the short answer from project to project. But I think we're kind of breaking ground and trying to figure out what that timeline looks like in an NFT space. And whereas, we're really crafting Ash's hand drawing, all the characters, and now we have Ghostbot on as the animation studio, and they're learning from Ash's drawings, and it's very 2D specific, so it's very crafted. Whereas there's another show in the kind of Stoner Cats domain of the Metawood of Gimmicks is another show, which is done by Toonstar, and their whole thing is that they can do very fast animation. They kind of use computer AI to kind of fill in the gaps of movement, which is really cool. But obviously you're getting a different visual, right? You're getting something that's very fast, very smooth and quick and not handcrafted. So we kind of took the long way around as opposed to trying to do something fast, because we really want to give it its day in the sun. Give people a high quality show. High quality. And
it's around every
now that I do the puns, I literally can't turn it off. My family's like, please stop.
It's okay, we wouldn't want you to.
I have to be authentically me. But yeah, so it varies. It's a very long-winded way of saying it varies, but we're figuring it out. And it's not, for some people, like our diehards, they're like, we don't care how long it takes, we love the show. Other people are like, when next episode after the day that the episode releases. So we're trying, but it's really interesting. It's a learning curve.
Of course. There's some really great things I want to just highlight. I mean, ultimately, I just wanted the audience here to hear that your answer was going to be measured in years, not weeks or months. It was like irrelevant, like 3 to 9 years, whatever it is. But like anything of this nature is years, and it always is. And I think it's important to hear that.
It absolutely is. And I will caveat and say, if we had known, right, hindsight, that this was going to go, and we would have started working on episodes before the release, knowing, but simultaneously we were also working other jobs. So we were doing this nights and weekends as it was. So realistically, there's no way we could have done an entire season on the hope and promise that it succeeded, because if it had failed, we would have just completely burnt ourselves to the ground for 6 months to a year. So we're kind of chicken and the egg situation. So we were a little bit stuck, but in an ideal situation, if we knew that something was coming up and we were going to commit our full-time jobs to this, we could have put a lot of episodes in the queue so that we could just release on a schedule.
Yeah. I've got one more follow-up for you, but I want to check in with CJ. CJ, have you figured out how to unmute yourself? I unserver muted you. Are you back?
I am back. Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry, by the way, I was muted. I don't know why it didn't show up on the screen. I have 2 questions for you. Actually, probably 3. Number 1 is there a way that
Did you get rugged, or is it me?
I hear you.
But do you hear CJ?
Yeah.
Oh, I lost it.
We've had this happen in our Discord before. It's really weird where some people hear some mics and not others.
Okay, well, I'll just listen.
Yeah, it's been like that on Twitter Spaces also, even worse, actually.
Yeah, well, in case anybody can't hear, I'll recap your question as long as everyone's hearing me. so that we can answer it.
but here's the
I feel like
trigger.
it's a private conversation.
Well, and nobody, none of them can tell us whether or not they can hear you. But I can hear CJ now. Go ahead, CJ.
Okay, good.
So I'm wondering, because there's such a large community, is there a way to onboard people that are willing to volunteer their time to help you guys and assist you guys in that, or it just becomes too chaotic having too many people coming on to try to assist?
That's a good question. So, and actually the Metawood DAO in our last creator call had asked that same question. They're like, hey, we're the DAO. Like, how can we help and support you? And I love that question because it is about connecting with our community and making sure people feel involved and like they're part of the show. There are certain things we can do, but even with our animation studio and onboarding them for the second episode, we called it Pilot 2.0 because the first episode was our pilot episode. This was theirs because they were onboarding, learning the process, getting all the character drawings, learning how to animate each character. So the problem is the amount of time it takes to really onboard someone to do a specific job. We've now lost that time that we're like, well, we could have just killed ourselves and done it ourselves. So it's a really difficult balance, but it's also a good boss can delegate. And that's something I think we're all learning. When I was a first assistant editor, my job was basically to be the liaison between every single department, between editorial and animation and sound and music and the sound stage for recording actors. And I was funneling all that into editorial. And it's just an incredible amount of work coming at you. So we hired additional assistants, and my job was to be like, I can't do all of it. You take this part, I'll take this part, and we'll come together. So it's absolutely important that we need to delegate where we can. It's just unfortunate that the parts of very specific animation or drawing, we hired a story artist, Dan Jupe, who's incredible. He's a Pixar artist. And so he's been drawing storyboards for future episodes, which has been great. But even that, we had to onboard him for a bit and be like, here's how the characters are drawn and here's our staging and all that sort of stuff. So I would love to find a way to keep people more involved and feeling like they can contribute and volunteer and take stuff off our plate. That would both help us, but then in turn help the community. We're trying to figure out what those things are.
And what's the process? Because I know in the second episode there was some not little breadcrumbs, but like when he went into the drawer when he was in the laboratory and he was ruffling, and you saw like the pictures of like the apes and other NFTs that you incorporated into the show. Was that on your part? Was that on other parts? How does that come about?
That comes more from a production standpoint initially, of Lisa or Big Head saying like, hey, let's incorporate other NFTs into our space. But then now that we're like, oh, that's something we're aware of. Now we're sort of thinking like, what other things can we involve? How, like what I was saying at the beginning of having these DAOs and collabs of crossover and supporting each other. We want to like fold that in, and whether that's doing a fun little Easter egg of dropping in a different NFT into the episodes, or that's doing some sort of collab in some way of a giveaway or we did Pictionary stuff. So if we do like Pictionary with another team or Trivia Night with another NFT, that kind of stuff where we want to cross over and make it a whole collective space.
Love that. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Eric.
Eric is our magical Discord manager, among other things.
Magic. Love that.
In this moment of pause, I will share for the audience, and Sarah, please as well. If you just go above this main stage, you'll see the voice channels text. And in this channel, you'll be able to link to the request POAP. So if you put your wallet address there, or you can scroll up to the top of the server to find it, drop your full alphanumeric address, paste it in there, and next week you can come back to claim your POAP. But by putting your address there, you are reserving a POAP for yourself. I make them available for about a month. but you must put your address there today before 4 p.m. So there that is.
Love that. Also, do we all collectively land on POAP? I know for a while we're like, is it Pope? Is it POAP? What are we doing? I feel like we've all decided it's POAP, right?
I've heard Pope, but I did an interview with Werthalter, the founder, and he was saying POAP. So
yeah.
Okay. That's kind of like the GIF conversation, which I hope that's been put to bed, that it's never GIF. Although contrarily, I think the creators said that he calls it GIF. And we were all like, no, we disagree. So,
is that a fact? Because I've asked that question before multiple times, and no one has conclusively given me the answer. Artists and coders and developers, they're like, nobody knows. Everyone just uses whatever they think, and no one contradicts each other. Is this a fact?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that I read an article where they finally tracked down the guy who created GIF, and he said GIF, and we all just went, no.
So it's a GIF. A GIF is the official term.
That's what I say personally. I'm team GIF. Team GIF is peanut butter. So
that's right. That's all you need to say, really.
That's my argument. That's legal and that holds up in court.
Well, it's not an
argument. Can you give us a little alpha or a little sneak peek or a little hint of what's coming down the pipeline? Besides the TV show, because I did not know about this. The TV show with the guy getting hit in the nuts.
Yeah, cock puncher. Yes.
Cock puncher. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So if you're a Stoner Cats token holder, in our Discord we have spoilers chat, and we've kind of accidentally created CatAnon, is what I call it. Where people are going frame by frame and studying everything. And we didn't realize this when we released it. And so people are going frame by frame and trying to figure out story points for the future, or what it means, or people's backstories, or cats' backstories. And like I said with the audience preview screening, we are now keeping that in mind as we make stuff, so that literally every frame is thought out, because we know someone's going to pause on a frame. So I had created this idea for a character. We had started it off as Miss Stoner was watching RoboCop, just to kind of give her personality, that she's not your average granny. And then we were like, well, legally, not sure if we're allowed to say RoboCop. So we came up with this idea for this superhero character, as if there's an 80s franchise called Cock Puncher. And it's Miss Stoner's one of her favorite movies, so she's always watching it. And thus Dave is now his favorite show, or movie rather. The long story that may never see the light of day, but our thought process is that right now it's the 80s version that they watch. And Chris, who's one of the other creators, is Australian, so he does this kind of rip-off Carl Urban performance as Cock Puncher. And but the idea being that right now it's an 80s version, but Hollywood is gonna do a remake of Cock Puncher as they do, and then they'll cast Chris Hemsworth, and that's just to be clear, that's not actually happened. That's our pie in the sky joke of the storyline of Cock Puncher. That's a completely background. I created this. I released it in the Discord today. I did what's called a radio play for episode 1, and it's basically you create a scene that's basically only sound effects and voices, and you create this sort of like the old radio shows, oh god, what is the big one that scared the crap out of people, and Tom Cruise remade the movie.
Not War of the Worlds, but
yeah, no, it was War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, so when they originally had that back in the day as a radio show, and people were
they thought it was real.
Verified, yeah, that it was real. So it's that kind of idea of like you create this radio play that sounds like it's a real thing happening. So I created a radio play for Cock Puncher, which is kind of like the opening scene, which sounds like a trailer opening, and then this whole scene of police showing up and trying to apprehend this burglar, and Cock Puncher flies in, shows up, and punches him in the cock and saves the day. So I created this this sound effect based radio play and released that out. And if you listen in episode 1, it's very low, but it plays throughout the whole episode when Miss Stoner is watching TV because she's watching it. So there's this level of detail of stuff that goes in that ultimately is just background noise that people don't realize is crafted and super fun. And that's where I get to go, like, that's my day job, is I made a cock puncher radio play, and that's a Tuesday. That didn't really answer your question as far as alpha. Or maybe it did. Maybe you guys all heard that maybe one day there's going to be a reboot of Cock Puncher, and it'll have a new updated cast.
You heard it
in the
here
background,
first.
no less.
You heard it here first.
I actually like the idea of Carl Urban as the voice of Cock Puncher.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah,
there's a growing. We'll throw that on there as our pie in the sky pipe dream cast list.
I don't think that's so pie out of the sky. I think that he'd totally be on board with that.
I mean, that's true. It's kind of in the wheelhouse of the boys. That feels right.
All right, I know my new task this week is going to be spamming Carl Urban with stoner cats.
Let me know.
Is there imagery of Cock Puncher yet? Like, do you have it, or it's just a loose? Like, is there an actual like character drawn out?
There isn't a character designed yet. There is there is a frame of the TV show when it kind of pops on, and also we released a holiday episode on YouTube, which I don't know a lot of people really realized. We released a holiday special, and they're watching Cock Puncher Jingle Balls on TV. So there is a little animation of a fist punching through 2 ornaments that we've done. So there's not a specific character design. So, theoretically, whoever you cast, you could base it off of who you cast. Might look like Carl Urban.
Amazing. I want to invite anybody in the audience who has a question for Sarah to raise their hand and come on up. We are recording this conversation, so if you're not comfortable being on recording, you can post your question in voice channels, text. And while people make that decision, Sarah, I wonder for you, if we could like zoom out a little bit, like what's something you learned from last year that you're taking into this year? And what's something that you're excited for, either new or old? What's something you're excited for in the upcoming year?
Oh, those are such good questions.
Thanks.
They're good in that they're hard, and that makes me have to go, oh God, now I have to take stock of my life. The past year, I think it's a little bit touching on what you said about how do we tell what's authentic and what's not, and what's a rug pull and a cash grab is I really want to kind of bring authenticity to the space and kind of connect with people and let people know, from a Stoner Cats perspective, one, of the seriousness of Alzheimer's and how, we're donating to charity. Part of the NFT proceeds go to charity. And that was voted on by our community to go to Alzheimer's Association. So kind of having that kind of transparency and connecting with people. I've been way more active on Twitter. And I kind of I want to meet more people in the space who are kind of like-minded and see, and I've done a lot of that with connecting with a lot of female creators and artists, Boss Beauties included. Lisa Meyer's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to connect and get into this space. And before, I think also on a question you had asked before of like, do you get it and how do you understand NFTs? Always the joke is like, you paid how much for a JPEG kind of thing. And I was telling my friend the other day that I was never like an art gallery person. I'm going to go to the art gallery and look at this amazing painting. I was like, I don't understand art. But NFT is kind of in the same way animation spoke to me for film. NFTs are kind of the digital art that I understand. So I can see the skill of a digital artist and the different types of art that you can see that are clever and creative that I otherwise wouldn't have seen as art. And so I think it's kind of opened my mind into art in a different way. So I think in this year, what I'd like to do is really kind of get into that space and kind of flex my creative brain and get to know these artists and these different styles that didn't even occur to me before.
Fantastic.
You don't know this about her, Jeremy, but she's a GIF queen.
Oh, really?
We had a sick GIF battle. Jury's out on who won.
I actually think I won, but Jeremy, this thing went on for a while. I've never had this long of a GIF battle before with anyone.
That's a nice way to make a first impression.
GIFs are my first language.
I could attest to
that. But yeah, great questions. I'm not saying
Sarah,
that there's.
I'm going to actually ask something really interesting. I guess I'm going to shoot my shot for the DAO. How do we sneak our berry into Stoner Cats?
That's a good question.
So you see Road to VCon has like a bunch of blueberries there. That's our mascot. He's a small little blueberry. I mean, we could sneak him in anywhere.
I mean, also he's a food. So
yeah, there's
a kitchen, and I made this joke the other day. There was someone who was talking about their NFT about orcs who make burgers, and I was like, listen, cats getting stoned are gonna have munchies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna want to raid the pantry. They're gonna want to raid the fridge. So there's no end of food that they're gonna want to eat. So I'm not saying yes, but I'm also not saying no. And I'm definitely maybe gonna message my co-creators and be like, hey, where can we put some blueberries in a show? Doesn't feel impossible.
I'm already looking at my GIF I'm sending you right now.
I'm gonna have a whole like reactionary GIF chain to sort through when I get off this AMA.
that was a very diplomatic answer. Well done. So for everybody in the audience, just in the spirit of GIFs, can I get a GIF from everybody in the voice channels text as a thank you to Sarah? Just like share your favorite GIF, a thank you GIF, whatever floats your boat, whatever is your GIF language. Please drop some GIFs in the channel for Sarah. And I was going to ask. Now I forgot my question. Oh yeah, from the audience here. So we have a great question here regarding the DAO. In your creation of the DAO, what are some potential pitfalls that you have seen or experienced in the process, and what advice would you give anyone starting an IRL utility-based DAO?
Oh, interesting. I mean, again, full transparency, that might be a question that's above my head because I myself am just grasping what DAOs are.
Yeah.
And that's more a question for our DAO Metawood. But they're also so in their infancy. We're at the point where we're voting on logos and what that looks like. And I think for us, it's a little bit different too, because we're voting on shows too. So they're trying to craft what shows get released under the banner of Metawood in the new Hollywood. So I think it's different. If I had to like macro pull out, that's not necessarily DAO specific as far as utility based. From a creative standpoint, I would say, what is the most important thing that you would want to connect from your NFT to the people? Like, what is the number one thing that you're like, this is the essence of my NFT, and I want to make sure that I connect that with people. And then I think that would make you find people who connect with you and vibe with you on that level. And I think that would give, from a macro sense, the greatest sense of success from a DAO is finding your people.
You're so good. You're so smooth with your answers.
Love it. Love it.
Love it.
We're coming right up to time, and there are no more questions. It's just people praising you with GIFs. GIFs.
Listen,
So if you want to check those
listen,
out.
watch your mouth. You said GIF. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
I know I was going to correct.
Forgive me, Queen. I apologize. Forgive me.
So there's
It's funny,
so
like
many
in
good
VFriends,
GIFs.
in VFriends, we have the Gary, the VFriend token. It's Gary originally owned, and people still don't know how to pronounce it. Gary officially pronounced it Go, but everyone pronounces it Goo. So we have the same interesting battle
you've got
in the
to
world.
see. You got to see the GIF. The latest GIF is this in a GIF. And we have one more question, if you don't mind. I know that's good, right?
Quick, Gary's last name is also up for debate as far as I mean, it's Vaynerchuk, but everyone go. That's why everyone's like V, just because it's easier.
Right.
So, Gary's also a GIF.
Speaking of Gary, look at that for a segue. How did Gary come to be a voice on Stoner Cats? If I'm not mistaken, this is the first like media voiceover credit that he has. I know that he's old friends with some on your team, but like, can you give us any insight into that process and how it went?
Yeah, so the hash panda of it was really crazy because we didn't know who we were going to have for it, and so it changed actors 3-4 times. And so we were trying to write for different actors, different characters, thinking we were getting one person over the other. And before we had written, found out we had Gary V, which was a Mila pick. She's so smart. And she's like, that's the thing. And we're like, light bulb moment of like, of course it's Gary. But we had written Hash Panda to be like this very kind of sweet Disney character that turns in kind of this different Rambo-esque kind of character. And we were like, all right, now what does Gary look like? And so then we had to rewrite for Gary, and it just sort of organically came up. It is just like, Gary is Hash Panda is Gary. And
nice.
And he was super, super cool and super chill. And as you all know, he is the world's most busiest man. Most busiest is the correct grammar for that. And it was so difficult to get him. I mean, obviously all the actors are very difficult and have busy schedules. Gary is next level. He was like, I have 400 meetings that I have to schedule the next 30 days. And we're like, all right, cool. That's normal. So getting him was a challenge just because he's so busy. But the minute that he came in, he was just like ready to go. He was like, I'm in. Tell me where to go, where to be. And he was just team player. And I think that's why his performance is so good, because it comes across as genuine and it comes across as Gary. And we love it.
I think that's where CJ's idea of the VeeDao blueberries could fit, because Gary's favorite food is blueberries. Maybe the Hash Panda loves blueberries.
I didn't know that. Now this all makes sense. It all connects. That's interesting. All right. Good intel. This informs my writing. Thank you for this writing session today.
I totally read a Twitter direct message and totally forgot my next question. My apologies. Well, we're actually up to time. I remember. I was going to ask, did he do it in one take?
No, and here's why. Because he was so busy, we couldn't get him long enough. So we had we had to have 2 sessions to fit the whole script in to get all the lines.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it a one episode? Was it a one episode cameo, or is there going to be follow-ups?
This has kind of been sort of leaked. I can't say how many, but that is not the last time you will see Hash Panda.
We'll take it.
Nice.
I told Mike, I said, because I have a complete set of stoner cats, including Lord Catsington. And I'm like, there has to be some type of bonus collection or NFT that they have to create. I know that's not in your wheelhouse for having complete sets.
That's got to be on Mac's brain. Mac, like I think in GIFs, Mac thinks in NFTs. So I think
nice.
That must be something that he's thinking of, how to complete the set in some way. I can't speak to that, but I think that's cool and a Mac question.
I tried getting Miss Stoner Cat, but she's like super expensive because they only made like 20 of her.
Yeah, so she's hand drawn one of ones, whereas the rest are iterative. So Ash hand drew all 20 of those.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, CJ.
No, and I think Jane Fonda actually owns a couple of them, if I'm correct, right?
She does. I don't know which ones, but she does own.
Yeah.
Now you know the next connection you need to make, CJ. Strike a deal.
Yeah, just I don't know if you guys heard this. Not that this has nothing to do with Stoner Cats, but I read this I think a day or two before. You know that Etherscan is coming out with instant messaging, where now you'll be able to communicate with addresses.
No.
Really?
Listen to like Jeremy and I's minds blown simultaneously.
I know that. Honestly, that's a feature that I know so many people want, but I'm not sure is a good idea. Not really.
That's what I was thinking.
I actually had this debate with someone. Like, if you imagine not being able to stop spam from coming to your box of messages. Ugh. I feel bad for celebrities. Imagine the people, whales, who own like billions, not tens of millions of dollars in their account, and they're gonna be like, "Can I get a free one? Can I get a free one? Can I get a free one?"
Well, right. I mean, there's no spam filter for that too. But I mean, doesn't that kind of fly in the face a little bit of the anonymity? I mean, I know some people obviously can figure out whales' wallets and who they are, but I feel like now you're adding a personal layer to the wallet that kind of is supposed to be decentralized and weird.
Well, it's just going to be decentralized, like anonymous to anonymous. But the truth is, you don't have to respond. It could be like a email box you never look at. If you never look at it, it doesn't exist.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that because, like, then what are you going to do? Like, what if somebody just like spams you? What if somebody slanders you on a wallet that like they can't even confirm is yours, and it's not like you can erase it.
It's Etherscan. Who's going to Etherscan to check email? I mean, it's like you don't see it. It doesn't exist. It's like someone bashing you on some third country website that in a different language. Like, if you don't know it and don't read it, it doesn't bother you. It only bothers you when you acknowledge it.
But are people's messages
it's
public?
Schrodinger's Etherscan is what it is.
Yeah, it's on Etherscan. That's what I read. Etherscan is the one that's going to be coming out, which makes the most sense because they're the ones that have the analytics and the data on everything. So that would make the most sense.
Right. But if it's Schrodinger's Etherscan, the message is both there and not until you open it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not gonna end up in your wallet. I think there'll be a different platform that collects the actual messages, which you can or can ignore or can look at. I mean, I can't believe that people won't be able to help themselves and just check what messages they're getting on. Sometimes it get completely spammed at a specific point.
If there's a red notification badge like there is on Discord, it will drive me nuts. If I'll be like, it needs to go away. I need to make it stop.
But it will help the fact, you know what, actually, now that I'm talking about this out loud, I see two things that become valuable. Number one is verified on, for instance, your address being verified, but ENS now will become a real factor because you'll look at a message that's coming from an ENS, a .eth address, versus just a regular address.
Right. Interesting. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
a little ominous. Sarah, is there anything you want to leave us with? Anything? Is there anything we didn't discuss that you're excited about that I missed, or?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know coming into. I was like, it's gonna be an AMA. It's just gonna be. I know a little bit my audience with my Center Cats fam, my community. So I know talking points, but going to people who have no context who I am or potentially what Stoner Cats is and what that process is like, I was like, well, we'll see. But this was fantastic. This was really great. I'm super stoked to have connected with you guys and this community, and thank you to everybody for showing up. And I hope it was informative in some capacity, or at least interesting. And your questions were super astute and wonderful. So thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. One last
Absolutely.
question: fancy pajamas or regular pajamas?
CJ made the joke of I had asked if this was a video chat or a voice chat, and he said voice, you can wear pajamas, and I said no, that wasn't my question. It was whether or not I needed fancy pajamas or casual pajamas. I have pajamas for every attire.
And what was your choice?
The answer is actual adult clothes for once. So just shocked to my friends and family that I'm wearing real clothes, despite being on a voice chat. Absurd.
So that's corporate then.
That's corporate. It is business casual. Yeah.
All right. You know, it has to happen once in a while to remind us.
Yeah.
Of
Change it
the
up.
old days. Well, thank you. And absolutely, it was a pleasure for us. I mean, I look forward to hearing the chatter in the community afterward, but I think it's very insightful. Yes, CJ?
Yeah, we could keep you for the next hour. We're just giving you the window to leave.
That's right.
Yeah, this is the opportunity. I know I have like the rest of the crew's going to be like, hey, so where's the editing on that sequence?
Uh-huh.
Right.
So I do have to go actually make the show right now. But
Awesome.
Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your solid gift selection. That's you are also my people. Thank you for that. And we'll be in touch. I'll pop in here when I can, and catch me on Twitter. Love to connect with everybody. Like I said, my goal is to connect with more people and get more familiar with the space and see what different projects look like and see what different utility looks like. So hit me up.
I'm actually gonna post the link to Discord for the Stoner Cats, or for Big Head at least.
Yeah.
And I'm also gonna post, I guess, your Twitter. I guess if you want to get some followers. I don't know if that's something.
Sure.
I just posted her Twitter. If you could grab the Big Head Discord invite, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm doing it as we speak right now. Let's get Sarah some followers.
Thank you guys. And yeah, let's all stay in touch. And I think it would be great for you guys to connect with Metawood as well. I know Al Planet is in here. He's part of the DAO as well. So it'd be great for you guys to connect and pick each other's brains on how everybody can move up and lift up.
Absolutely. Would love that. I also love seeing that your Twitter has less than 1,000 followers.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's jumping up a little bit. I see people are jumping in, but it's just like, I think oftentimes people equate like all sorts of odd things with follower count, which are not correlated, whether it's
not
like
at all.
notoriety,
not at all. And especially
or skill,
there's
or
so
anything.
many pay to play stuff too. Like I get hit up so many times. They're like, you want to blast your followers? Blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, good. Thanks. I don't want to pay for fake bots to like my photos. It is what it is. If you like what I'm doing and you want to follow me, cool.
Yep.
I'll follow you and we'll connect if it's authentic. If not, I don't want it.
Awesome. Well, we're wishing you the best as always. Can you tell us which episode are you going to work on so we'll know when we see it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm writing and working on all of the episodes in some capacity. I'm actually editing episode 3 right now. And we're simultaneously working on 4. So we're kind of tag team. But yeah, episode 3 is the next episode to release. And it's going to be a doozy.
We're just going to know somewhere in that episode 3 before a cut, you were in this room and you were sharing your time with us. That's awesome.
Yeah. Know that like in the timeline of the episode, you're like, and right there was the VeeDao AMA.
I love it.
There'll be a blueberry put in there as the split. Like that real.
The flash frame, like in Fight Club.
Yeah. There'll be a blueberry there just as that notice. By the way, I just checked right now. Me and you are like 2 followers or 3 followers apart. I think we're like 40 shy to get to 1,000 mark.
And now it's a whole different battle outside the gifts.
That's awesome. I think I'm
still going to be gift related.
I think I'm 40 shy from 10,000. So what are you going to do about that?
Woof. Well,
wow,
we ain't even in the same league.
No, just kidding. Soon enough.
All right, thank you guys
so much for coming. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you, CJ, reaching out to me and having me on. This was really, really fun. If I didn't have legit work to do, I would just spam you all with gifts for the next hour. So
Well, we'll be here. You come back whenever you
Yeah,
want.
we'll be
great.
there. Thanks again.
Thank
Thanks
you guys
again.
so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you to everybody who's here listening. Now that Sarah is gone, I'm going to close the POAP channel. So if you have yet to do so, this is your last chance. Go ahead, go to wherever you keep your wallet, copy your address. Now come back to the Discord app and scroll to the top of the server channel list. You'll see a request POAP channel. Tap there. Now, tap where it says message into request POAP and paste your address. You should have been able to do that now. Now hit send. Make sure you hit send because in exactly 5 seconds, I'm going to close permissions in 3, 2, 1. All right. That's the end of the POAP. We're really grateful to have all of you here. As always, I see a lot of holders in the room. I also see a lot of friends in the room. We at the VeeDao are still minting at VeeDao.io. You can find the link to our project in official links. If you're not familiar with what we do here, ask questions in the chat. Check out our FAQ. Every token you mint is one vote, which governs our community wallet, where we mutually vote and execute buys and sells on blue chip NFTs. We have 2 VeeFriends, 5 mini drops. We've bought and sold Flyfish Club tokens. I think we're going to be ready to make another play soon here. But we also provide other value to our holders. We're working on our first airdrop right now. We do these weekly AMAs where there's always a POAP to be collected. There's an alpha channel, which has actually made some people some nice money. I actually just dropped alpha there, which is for the Cool Cats, Cool Pets whitelist, pre-sale, pre-mint list. So if you're a holder, you can go to the alpha channel and get the instructions for that. You just have to have 0.1 ETH in your wallet and follow Cool Cats on Twitter and connect. But if you're not a holder, you won't have that link. So little benefits like that pop up here and there. I think we pretty consistently post something in alpha, like, I don't know, 2 to 4 times a week. It's a big benefit we hear. But furthermore, you have the community, you have all the vibes of VeeFriends with a lot less noise, and we're excited to keep building it. We're actually having admin talks right now that we're bringing the community leaders into about, like, what should our VCon play be? What kind of live event, otherwise merch play, otherwise value offer be to the VeeDao and the VeeFriends community at VCon? So very excited about that. Not to mention, I'm on the team and I am the #1 source of unofficial source of VeeFriends news and information. And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've been told many a time that access to me is worth the mint price. So that's very humbling. And I will do my best to bring you the best VeeFriends information as we go forward. So I hope that was interesting to you. 0.05 to mint at VeeDao.io. The link is in our official links. With that being said, Sven, CJ, you have anything else to add before I wrap this up?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, so yeah, we have Matthew Lillard coming in on Monday. He's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo and from all the Scream movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming in on Monday, and then Andy Craniak, who was supposed to be here today, was rescheduled to Tuesday.
So cool. Like, did you guys just hear that? Like, Matthew Lillard, like, television film star, and then Andy Craniak, the president of VeeFriends, are coming to our server next week. I don't know. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm feeling very bullish on VeeDao today. And
I get a lot of DMs and messages from people, and the most common one I get is, how do you keep getting all these people?
mm-hmm.
Someone actually even went to me to even on the Matt Kalish and the Gary show. They goes, you guys don't even get that many heavy hitters on that show as we do over here. And now that Tyler is officially at VCon, I'm sure, Jeremy, you saw the announcements, right?
Yes, but I haven't really deep dived. Tyler who?
Tyler from Fidenza.
Oh, nice. Did you make that happen?
I did.
No way. Oh, don't tell him yet. Don't tell him yet. But if you don't know who Tyler Hobbs is, I highly encourage you to check out their work. And oh man, if people knew, we'd be minting some shit right now. That's great, dude. Congratulations. I think we should keep it a surprise though. For now. I can't hear you if you're speaking back. Oh, the rugs. I hope that he's coming back, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. I don't know, for some reason my data on my things. But yeah, we have some fun stuff in planned.
Dude, that is so good. We really have to like hype that up in marketing. If like I don't want to announce anything that is not quite so specific and accurate. But if people
Then don't.
But I will just encourage you to look into the career of Tyler Hobbs, creator of Fidenza. And something else that we haven't formally, and I mentioned it to the owners, but I haven't formally announced it. There's an exciting project by Eric Sue that I'm working on, and I secured pre-sale spots for all VeeDao holders. So that'll be coming. We're opening that server soon, and that'll be, I don't know if it'll be a short-term arbitrage like flipping opportunity, but I think there's a lot of utility behind the project, and I'm excited to be working on it. So I hope that people find value in it. Plus the avatars, the art is like really nice. I'm a fan personally.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I think we're crushing it with our AMAs.
We are crushing it.
We don't even need the
No, well, I wouldn't go that far, but
I know.
we are really crushing it. Like we and the holders know this, but we really need to figure out how to get the word out, because at the end of the day, especially at these ETH prices, like it's like $120 beyond without plus gas, maybe $200, $250. $250 with gas included to get the stuff we're talking about. I don't know. Sounds like a big deal.
By the way, my gift war with Sarah has already started again.
Good. I'm glad you guys are friends. On that note, I'm going to just quickly link to the minting website. You'll forgive me for a hard shill. I'm just mad bullish on us right now. I think the community sees what we've got going on, but also like we see all of it, and I'm feeling very bullish that a 0.05 mint is a good buy today. Anything else to add before I wrap? Yeah. Aditya is totally right. Oh, that's Aditya. You changed your name. I see it. Thank you, Chai. Okay. CJ, I lost you again. I'm just going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you at the next one. The next AMA will be with Matthew Lillard Monday. Actually, let me check the time really quick. I'll get it right. No, I don't have a time yet. Monday, Matthew Lillard. I'll get you the time. It'll be announced. Thank you for attending this AMA with Sarah Cole, the co-creator of Stoner Cats, and we will see you in the next one. Have a great day, everybody. That was fun. That was just a great show. I'm like very excited about everything that just happened. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching the replay. I really appreciate that. If you watch the replay, I'm going to give the first person to hear these words. So it can't be whoever is listening right now, but the first person who watched the replay, please DM me on Twitter and say, I watched the replay of Stoner Cats, and I'll give you a gift. I'd like to do that. Thanks for watching. Again, this was a AMA with Sarah Cole, co-creator of Stoner Cats, on Friday, January 28th, 2022. Thank you for watching. My name is Jeremy, the Hard Trooper number 7.